Hey everybody, Commander Radix here. Showing up to let you know that the video you're about to see is from a script I wrote in like 2016, back when I was called Optimus Prime 22, and it was back during an event in IDW Comics was going on called Revolution. And when I wrote this script, only 3 issues had come out by that point in time, but I had a lot to say about it. So here's an analysis video that I wrote years ago about IDW's Revolution event, so I hope you enjoy. And wow, it's finally seeing the light of day. Hey, what's up everybody? Commander Radix here, bringing you another video, and today I'd like to talk to you about character juxtaposition in IDW's current event, Revolution. Whoa now, Radix, you're going to have to slow that down for me. Character what now? Character juxtaposition. In literature, an example of juxtaposition is when 2 characters with conflicting ideas or actions are brought in close proximity of each other. I want to discuss how we see character juxtaposition throughout the Revolution event, and how it's, well, pretty brilliant. To use a classic example of well-done juxtaposition, to any of you DC Comics fans out there, I want you to think about Batman. Think about Batman by himself. He's probably dark and brooding, swinging from dirty rooftop to rooftop with his grapple hook. Maybe it's raining there in Gotham City, the worst city on Earth. What's Batman's personality like? He's probably cynical and depressing, right? Now, let's juxtapose him in the situation of the Justice League. Now he's with the colorfully colored Flash and Green Lantern, who are known to crack jokes every now and then. He's dealing with an overly happy and charismatic Boy Scout in the form of Superman. Wonder Woman or Martian Manhunter are probably having difficulty understanding some bits of human culture. This Batman is probably different than the one you originally had in mind. This Batman may be more willing to show a reserved sense of caring for his teammates. He might not be all dark and depressing, and won't stray away from giving a few quips here and there in his own way, probably with a deadpan sense of humor, or sarcasm. Why is Batman different when alone versus when he's with his fellow Justice League members? See, a writer working on a solo Batman title will have Batman serve as the main protagonist and hero, often deconstructing either his morals or what it means to be Batman. Meanwhile, Batman serves a different role in team books like Justice League. Batman is no longer set in the depressing streets of Gotham City where his dark attire blends in. Now he's with a cast of colorfully designed characters that makes him stick out like a sore thumb. A writer has to acknowledge this change in the environment, and often they address it through Batman's self-awareness, not only at his current situation, but the fact that he is with many superpowered beings in general, when heroes with the supernatural abilities to the caliber of the Justice League are comparatively rare in Gotham City. Then there's the fact that Batman no longer fits the role of being the sole hero and protagonist. Now he fills a strong supporting role alongside the rest of his teammates, and it is as a supporting role where we see the writer be able to unlock different areas of his character. While his heroic aspects are brought to focus in his solo book, these heroic aspects aren't necessarily unique in the Justice League book, so things like his intelligence and ability with computers are played up. Also, Batman is a mere human on the Justice League team, and this opens up more doors for a writer to explore what exactly it means to be human, since Batman, juxtaposed against the Justice League, is one of the best setups for this theme. But enough about the Dark Knight. What does this have to do with G.I. Joe, Transformers, ROM, Mask, and everyone else? Well, Revolution has been the first major crossover event we've seen with these characters, which makes this the first time we can see a proper juxtaposition of many of these characters. Now, shared universes aren't a new thing in the Transformers multiverse. In fact, the first 2 original Transformer universes shared their reality with the likes of G.I. Joe and others. What makes Revolution special is that this brings together a natural universe, in contrast to those small crossovers we've seen again and again. These characters initially evolved naturally, without the other universe, and are now only being brought together. These characters are not only interacting with each other, but we know how they would act when they are separated. Which brings us to the different juxtapositions in Revolution. At the time of recording, only Revolution number 1 through 3 have been released, so the best examples I want to talk about are Optimus Prime, ROM, and G.I. Joe. I'm sure there may be better examples to come later, but this is just how deep we are as of right now. Needless to say, spoilers to come. Optimus Prime, the leader of the Autobots. Looking over the comics, we see that Optimus Prime has a long history of insecurities. In the Autocracy trilogy, he frequently conversed with Alpha Trion over the fact that he felt that he couldn't properly lead. During Stormbringer, we see through his narration that he feels that he himself, and the rest of the Cybertronian race to a certain degree, were responsible for the uninhabitable state Cybertron was in. Likewise, after All Hail Megatron, Optimus feels responsible for the major destruction Earth saw for many reasons, including the war itself, his decision to abandon Earth, and his failure to save Earth sooner. Once Ironhide dies, he blames himself for that as well and surrenders leadership of the Autobots and turns himself in. After the war, he blames himself for the unrest on Cybertron, and after Optimus annexes Earth in All Hail Optimus, we clearly see that he isn't taking criticism well over him taking over the planet. However, despite all these insecurities and occasional breakdowns, Optimus Prime always gets back up and tries to do what is right. Though he feels insecure about his early leadership, he still manages to show enough leadership traits to earn the respect of the Autobots. Optimus Prime personally led the assault that defeated Thunderwing the second time he emerged. Optimus gave his troops morale when they were at their lowest to allow his forces to return to Earth to save the planet. And while many disagreed with his decision to take over Earth, Optimus still fights hard to keep a positive relation with both Cybertron and Earth. This creates the pattern that Prime feels that every time something goes wrong, it's his job to fix it. In a solo Transformers story? Fine, yeah, go at it, Prime. But now, you're part of a larger universe. As relations with humanity gets worse due to exploding OR-13 deposits, Optimus continues to make public appearances to personally try to mend human-Autobot relations. Here, we get to see some flaws that we don't normally see in a Transformers story that's part of Prime's character. Optimus doesn't understand when something is or isn't his fault, and he doesn't understand any other way to fix problems than doing it himself, and effectively not trust the people he's trying to save. Optimus gets into trouble with the entire planet because of this. However, I should note that this isn't the sole reason everything has gone so poorly in Revolution, in universe-wise. G.I. Joe, or the Joint Services Special Counter-Terrorist Group, has shown itself to be a failing fighting force over the years. It was unable to stop Cobra from rising. It was unable to stop Cobra from turning Nanjiao into a wasteland. It was unable to fully stop Cobra from ruining more lives and creating child soldiers, and it only barely managed to stop Cobra from infiltrating another country, and it wasn't even getting a fully sanctioned mission. All the while, the heads and key figures of G.I. Joe keep getting fired or going AWOL. Throughout the timeline, we see G.I. Joe running covert and near illegal operations to get what they want, and strongly use the shoot first, ask questions later tactic. This isn't really addressed in the G.I. Joe books, with the possible exception of that time Mainframe left the Joes as they refused to believe any intel about Cobra, and began to hunt Mainframe down without bothering to listen to what he said about Cobra. This changes in Revolution. G.I. Joe sees a hostile foreign enemy in the Transformers. G.I. Joe already let the Transformers take over the planet once, and they are not willing to let it happen again, especially when General Colton, in reality a dire wraith, is urging an attack more and more. I've seen people criticize G.I. Joe in issue 1 for not listening to the Transformers who are trying to calm them down. If this criticism is a form of criticizing them for being out of character or something to that degree, then I simply must disagree. This, given the current situation and the history of the Joes, is exactly what G.I. Joe would do in this situation, a head-on confrontation with no intention of listening to the hostile alien overlords. I think Revolution gives us an insight into the characters of G.I. Joe that we don't really see in a G.I. Joe book, because there are more relevant plots and themes for a writer to tackle there. Revolution again juxtaposes these characters into a larger universe and allows us to see their flaws better. Rom the Space Knight. Having been fighting the dire wraiths for 200 years, Rom is simply tired, war-fatigued, and angry. Throughout his book, we follow Rom in his journey to liberate Earth from the secret Dire Wraith rule. The 80s fantasy-style dialect he takes in his speech makes him feel like a superhero in the most cliché sense of the word, and this contrasts well with the realistic art style and bloody annihilation of neutralized Dire Wraiths, partnered with the excellent portrayal of Darby Mason's PTSD. Rom has expressed difficulty with Earth customs and patience, and this is portrayed well within the series. However, when we take this over to Revolution, these flaws show more significance when juxtaposed with the larger IDW universe. To the perspectives of G.I. Joe, the Transformers, and anyone who doesn't know a thing about Rom, Rom flies in and kills a handful of G.I. Joes, including General Colton, for no reason and just flies out. This highlights that Rom, spending centuries in warfare and not in a normal lifestyle, has become awkwardly detached to communication and doesn't even think to fully explain himself until he's captured by the Autobots. I think another telling flaw showcased in Revolution is Rom's willingness to destroy another universe to save his own by sending the OR-13 into microspace. We've seen Rom's impatience in his series and his fatigue at the continued fighting. Who cares if another universe is destroyed to save the one he's been spending so long to protect? Of course, Rom's status as a hero is not destroyed by this, as Optimus Prime talks Rom down from destroying microspace by, again, juxtaposing Prime's own insecurities to Rom, describing Rom as his worst fears taken shape. Again, though the Rom series is still relatively new, Revolution provides us insight we have hardly ever seen into these characters, just through the literary style of juxtaposing these characters together in a living, breathing universe. So to wrap up today's video, I'd like to just say that we've never really had a proper juxtaposition of these characters until Revolution has come around, and within the first 3 issues we are seeing the flaws of characters in a new light. This is something that's done all the time in shared universes like DC or Marvel Comics, and I for one am glad to see this literary development has come to the Transformers multiverse, giving us real fresh new perspectives on these characters we thought we've known for over a decade. I can't wait to see what other literary elements the shared universe device adds to IDW's comics. So, I'm going to leave off here. Thank you so much for watching, follow me on social media for updates, and let me know what you think about this analysis style video. I kinda want to do more of these. And have a great day, ladies and gentlemen. Huge thanks to our patrons, including this month's $10 plus patron Josh Adkins. Check out the description for more patrons and more info about how you can receive a shout out here.